What we're going to do in this sprint is to learn how to build your Scrum Master experience through observation. We're going to explore a special type of observation we use in Agile called Gemba or Gemba walk. That's a Japanese word. It comes from the Toyota production system, and it means the place where value is created. So in Agile, when we do a Gemba walk, we go to the place where value is created, like a Scrum event, to observe and build our experience versus just theory. So we're going to follow our aspiring Scrum Master Quinn's story to see how she built her experience through Gemba walks. So Quinn had been gradually building her skills through practical exercises in the Scrum Master Apprenticeship Program. So in the fall, as the leaves were starting to turn colors, she applied for 10 entry-level Scrum Master jobs. She felt excited about it and hopeful. But 3 weeks went by and no one had contacted her for an interview. What's going on, she wondered. So she reached out to some of the hiring manager contacts over LinkedIn and wrote, "I applied, but I haven't heard back. I'd value any feedback you have for me on why I didn't get the interview." She got lucky and heard back from 2 of them. Usually you don't. Bonnie, the human resources recruiter, wrote, "Hi, Quinn. We felt you didn't have enough real-world working Scrum Master experience to match our requirements for the entry-level Scrum Master job." Ugh, what a disappointment. Quinn slumped down in her chair. She thought, I really want this job. Plus, I am so tired of my 1-hour commute. I know that lots of Scrum Master jobs are remote, and I would just love that it would give me more downtime. She sighed. Ugh. Then more worry snuck in. She thought, I know for a fact I don't have enough money built up in my daughter's college fund, much less in my retirement fund. A Scrum Master job would pay a whole lot more than what I'm earning now. Plus, I am so ready for a more friendly, human-centered work environment. So she came to our next live mentoring cohort and said, "Kelly, I've been working hard to build my experience at home and at work, but so far it's not enough. What else can I do?" I said, "Sometimes it's just a matter of time, like building your experience at work and at home over several weeks or months. But there is a trick to shortening that time period." Quinn sat up straighter and looked hopeful. "Please," she said, "tell me what that is." I said, "It's observing. In Japanese, they call this the Gemba walk, or Genba. What that means is that you would find a Scrum Master who you can actually observe in action." Quinn thought about it. She said, "I kind of like that idea, but I don't know, let me think about this." That weekend, Quinn had to oversee a production deployment for work. Saturday morning, they started the production process, but some of the steps got stuck. What else is new? So Quinn and her group ended up staying up till 3 a.m. until they got it to work. Finally, at 3:05 a.m. on Sunday morning, Quinn thought to herself, "I am so ready to be done with this job." She fell into bed only to get up at 6 a.m. Sunday morning to help monitor the application all day Sunday to make sure it was ready for users on Monday. It was only by Monday at 5 p.m. that she was able to crash and get some rest. Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., she showed up at our regular live cohort mentoring meeting. She said, "Okay, Kelly, I hit my limit. I am really ready to get into action with this Gemba walk observation thing. But how can I actually find someone to observe? Will they even let me observe? What if I can't find anybody inside my organization who's actually doing Scrum Mastering? I'm not exactly sure how to get started and find that opportunity." "Great question," I said. "So the way to get started is through your networking skills. This is a chance to practice them." She looked a little puzzled and asked, "What do you mean specifically?" I said, "Start talking to your work colleagues and asking if they know of anyone who's doing Scrum or Agile. If they don't, ask them for ideas on who you could talk to who might know. You can also ask your manager. In fact, when one of my other apprentices, Sharon, shared with her manager that she was wanting to apply Scrum Mastering, her manager was so happy about that she gave Sharon a raise after a few weeks and helped her find other people in the organization doing Scrum Mastering." Quinn said, That's pretty cool. My managers never mentioned Scrum or Agile, but I guess I could mention it and maybe put together a short presentation on what it would involve and see how she feels about it. I said, that's one way to get started. But remember, you can also just do it by yourself. You don't need to be on a team or leading a team. Remember how you can just make your own backlog and then just start moving stickies across a board? She said, oh, I forgot about that. Thanks. But how else could I find other people in my organization doing Scrum? I said, some other ideas for you are to talk to HR or people in completely different departments. They might have some information. So for the rest of that week, Quinn asked around for who was doing Scrum Mastering to find out who she might be able to observe. She even talked to her manager. But Tuesday of the following week, Quinn logged into our regular cohort mentoring video conference and said, okay, I tried, but I'm kind of frustrated. I couldn't find any other Scrum Masters in my organization to observe. What else can I try? I said, don't lose hope. Some other ways you can find experienced Scrum Masters to observe are meetups, LinkedIn, and podcasts. So for Agile meetups, what you'll see is that often people leading those meetups are already experienced Scrum Masters. Go to the meetups, introduce yourself at the end or the beginning, and tell them that you're looking for a chance to do a Gemba walk to observe a more experienced Scrum Master in action. Ask them for ideas. I did this when I was just starting, and I found that they were more than happy to help. Usually you can't go to their companies to observe because of confidentiality issues. But what I have seen happen with several of my apprentices is that the leader of the meetup was more than happy to have coffee afterwards and explain why he or she did or said certain things during the meeting and how that was a Scrum Master way of leading. And in some cases, the leader even used Scrum Mastering activities during the event, like a retrospective, actually a lot. So my apprentices got the chance to actually see live Scrum Mastering. Quinn looked thoughtful. She said, I like that, because I have a choice of lots of different meetups since I can attend them virtually anywhere in the world. Thank you, pandemic. There's a really good Agile coaching meetup in Florida, and they've been really friendly with me. I'd be willing to ask them about it. I said, exactly. You won't know unless you ask. The second way for you to do a Gemba walk is to use LinkedIn. I know it can be scary, but do a search on LinkedIn and find the person who has your dream job. Then send them a connection request with a short note saying something like, hi, I'm an aspiring Scrum Master and I love your profile. I was wondering if I could pick your brain for 15 minutes over the phone sometime on what you do. Typically about 3 out of 10 people respond to this, and they really like being asked, especially if you're not aggressively job hunting. You just say, I'm thinking of making the transition over to the Scrum Master job. Then, when you talk on the phone, ask them for their ideas on ways you can observe Scrum Mastering in action. They may come up with something you haven't thought of before. That happened with my apprentice Paloma. In fact, that's how she found out about her volunteer Scrum Mastering job. She observed the experienced Scrum Master in that volunteer position for a month, and then she took it over herself. That turned into her road to the actual paying Scrum Master job. Quinn said, that does sound kind of scary, but I am so ready to be out of my current job, and I really need a new job sooner versus later. I'll do it. Awesome, I said. You're courageous. And that's what's going to help you do this. So the third way to build your experience through Gemba walks is through podcasts. Quinn looked doubtful when I said this. She said, I don't really get that. I said, don't worry, I'll tell you how. Podcasts are a good way to do a Gemba walk because even though you're not observing a Scrum Master live on a podcast, they actually tell stories from the trenches. You'd be surprised at how valuable those can be, especially if you find a podcast that's specific for Scrum Mastering, not just Scrum or Agile. My apprentice Jean used to listen to podcasts every day for 3 months on her way to and from work. She told me she heard more real-life stories and how challenges got overcome than anywhere else. It gave her a kind of experience she really couldn't have gotten anywhere else because they talked about hard challenges that people typically don't share and how they overcame those challenges as Scrum Masters. So for the rest of the week, Quinn looked around for Gemba walk opportunities. She met Steve, an experienced Scrum Master of 8 years, and the leader of a Scrum Master meetup. When she turned on her camera for the first meeting that Thursday evening, she had to laugh. Everybody was wearing crazy hats on camera for their crazy hat competition. She wondered, what would it be like to have this much fun at work? Steve had a backlog prepared of possible meetup discussion topics. He organized the group to do backlog refinement on those, and then they set up a Scrum board in Jira to get ready to move each virtual sticky across the board as they went through each topic in their meetings. So Quinn got to see Scrum mastering in action right from the start. Gemba. So what we did in this sprint was to explore ways to build your working Scrum Master experience through observation, Gemba walks, by following Quinn's story. By now, you have some concrete ways to build your experience through observation. So get out there and try it, Scrum Masters. You really, truly can do this.